All right. Hello. My name is Salah Elleithy, and I am excited to be talking with April and Steve on the Agile World. And we will be talking about my professional coaching journey, why I started on this journey, how I started my podcast, and the idea of saboteurs. We also will talk about flow and taking action and moving forward. This is like
Hello, everyone. I am Steve Mowbray, and I am here with Agile World. And today I'm talking with April Jefferson, my co-host, who now has her hat. Finally, I got it to her, and she is rocking that thing. A little crooked, but it looks good on her.
Leaning to the side, just a little bit.
There we
go. And I'm excited about our guest today. Salah is the co-host of, Salah is the host of the podcast, The Coaching Conversation. And I think he's probably one of the best interviewers in the world. Way better than me.
That's because Salah is one of the best in the world. So.
Yeah, no, I don't.
So Salah, look, you and I met, I don't know how many years ago, because you're in the DC, Baltimore area, and we've hung out. And I think the last time I was in your physical presence, you were organizing Agile Charm, which was this great event in Baltimore. And I was just shocked. I didn't know a whole lot about it. And I arrived and there was 100 plus people there, and it was just wonderful, amazing speakers. I saw some visual scribing being done. It was just beautiful. And then you and I were talking on the phone a couple of times, and then social distancing hit. Yeah. Boom. So what's been going on? What have you been doing the last couple of years? And tell us about this podcast you started.
Yeah. First, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. April told me about Agile World, and I've been looking forward to meet both of you. It's kind of the this past 2 years, I have been trying to figure out what to do next after Agile Charm. I was like, okay, this was a good event. Are we going to do it again or what? And then obviously that was probably one of the last events before the pandemic hit, and so I had this microphone that has been sitting on in my office for a while. And then I thought, okay, I've been wanting to start something, express my views on Agile or coaching specifically. And and then I started just, recording the podcasts. First one was just me talking in the microphone. And then I realized that, could be better if I actually have someone to talk to. And
why is that? Why do you want someone to talk to?
Well, I think having a guest or I still want to just do like solo casts or just ideas, spark ideas, but I think it's good to build on someone's ideas. I think when I talk to someone else in an interview, they bring up good points, then we can start to evolve or go down a path that I wasn't planning. And it's really part of like this emerging things. It's like improv. You never know. I mean, I have an idea of where we want to go at the beginning of the conversation, but then maybe something interesting comes up and we explore that a little bit. So that's what that was kind of like the starting point for the podcast. It was just it was intentional in the beginning. I said, oh, wouldn't it be nice to start a podcast? And that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So I bought the Blue Yeti microphone on Amazon, got it. And then it sat in a box new for 2 years or so. And then the pandemic hit. And then I'm like, okay, this thing am I gonna make any use of this thing? And and that's how it all started. Just it wasn't planned. It was
So the recipe to start a podcast is to have time on your hands, have equipment that's just been sitting around, and
wait for a pandemic to hit.
wait for a pandemic to hit.
No.
But not just
Awesome.
equipment sitting around, equipment that you paid money for.
Yeah.
Are
So,
we
so-
missing any other ingredients? We want to
Yeah.
make sure that the listeners know, like,
Well,
how to kick off a podcast.
well, in Salah's case, your own personal thoughts got to scare you a little bit because he didn't want to talk just amongst himself, right? So,
yeah. Well, I only tried it once, so I still need to run a few more experiments. But I think so that's like the story I guess I tell everybody, or maybe I tell myself in many ways. But there's an inside story, and I mentioned that on the first episode that I recorded, which was having to wait for I didn't even need a microphone. I could have just recorded the podcast on my microphone here. I didn't need like a professional podcast microphone. I could record it on my phone. But there's this idea that in professional coaching we call, like, I'm sure you know this, saboteurs. Saboteurs or inner critics, things that we inner voices, things that we tell ourselves about why we can we can or can't do something. So I think that there was a little bit of that was going on too, like who am I to start a podcast? How what am I going to talk about? But at the end of the day, I realized that it's not about I'm not doing this to get I mean, I obviously hope that it's beneficial and people listen to it, but at the same time, this for me, it's more like expressing my view on things, that my experience, and then also talking to people who are a lot more smarter than me to share their insights. Like April.
like April. Yeah, I think we can both agree that April's smarter than us. But Salah, let me ask you. You were talking about the saboteurs. So I don't want to dig in too deep or put you on the spot, but what was like one or two of your saboteurs, and how did you overcome those suckers? Because they stop everybody, right? They stop most people.
Yeah. Well, the first time I heard about the saboteurs, I guess it was when I was going through the coactive training, professional training. But then there's also this 20-minute TED talk by Shiraz. His last name is escaping me, but if you look up positive intelligence,
okay, we'll put that in the show notes. We'll make sure that
Shirzad, Shirzad, and he talks about like different saboteurs or labeling those saboteurs. So one of the big ones is the judger saboteur. So and it's not just about like for example, I would judge someone, but I judge myself. Like that's the big part of it. It's like judging myself or being my most my biggest self-critic. So if for example I want things to go perfect and I want to put something really interesting, I could continue to overthink. That's another saboteur, the overthinker, or just like continue to just overthink it and not do anything about it. So the way I just overcome it, I just said, I'm gonna do this. First, I'm gonna have a script, so just calm my saboteur instead of just like going and do an impromptu thing. I have a script, so I have some control over editing that. So I did that, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna record this, and then I don't have to share it with anyone. So I recorded it, the first cut, the second cut, third cut, and then at the end, I just shared it with some people that I know will give me some feedback that's encouraging, but also what I would call like compassionate feedback. They do care about me improving and not just criticizing, for the sake of criticizing. But so yeah, that's how I overcame some of the saboteurs, and obviously every time I do this, the saboteurs is still there, but it gets easier over time.
Okay, so you identified the saboteurs. You created a script to have conversations with them or to overcome them, I guess. Then you went ahead and you did it, and you got some trusted feedback from people that you trust. That's awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So one of the things about like your podcast is called the Coaching Conversation, which is really cool. So it's like, okay, is he going to be coaching or other people going to be coaching? But from what I hear from you is that in ways you all coach one another. Could you share a story around how might that have revealed itself through some of the conversations you've had?
um yeah, when I started the coaching conversation, I just wanted to have a conversation, but with some sort of a purpose. Because yeah, it's I still love to have like a friendly conversation with people, and but I think that the reason I call it coaching conversation is because at the end of the conversation, I want to uncover some insights, and maybe for me, for the guests, the person I'm talking to, and for the people who are listening. So that's where the name came from. But at the as so the I have a couple of formats that I use. Sometimes I just start with a question like, what's your story, or tell me about how you got where you are, right? And that question kind of set the stage for what comes up, and then and then I pick up on a thread, and then I just take it from there, and then we can talk about like an interesting point in the story of that person's journey, and then go to other places from there. And then the other format that I usually use is just have a theme, like when I and it kind of it's interesting because every guest brings a lot of strength. Like when I interviewed, one of my first guests was Diana Larson, who I really appreciate her coming on the podcast a couple times, and she we talked a little bit about the organizational learning, and learning in general, how people learn, retrospectives, reflections, things that just emerged from our conversation. Other times, I interviewed I did the improv a little bit in the Washington Improv Theater before the pandemic, and I did a little bit online. But I interviewed one of my improv instructors, and in one of the episodes, I think it was a second or third episodes, I can't remember, uh, but that was a different different topic around like improv, because or how improv is applicable to just organizations and teams. um, so I don't know, maybe I'm rambling here. I don't know if I answer your question, but
Improv is so important for teamwork, right? Because you never know what your team is going to come up with. And so just being able to continue on with that, I think that's wonderful.
yeah.
I feel improv is an important part of just coaching in general as well, is being adaptive from that discovery. So there's a deep connection there for me.
Yeah, his actually the company he runs is called Make a Scene, which I found that name very interesting, and it's like you're in improv, just you have an idea, just like on a podcast, or in a team in an organization, like you both said, and then you walk in with that idea, and you don't know if if that's what's gonna come up. And so you need to be prepared to either resist and just things come to a standing still, or just continue to build on each other's ideas and move forward. And I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was he at Agile Charm?
Yes, he was. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I met him and I was chatting with him. It was fascinating. He was fascinating. So at Agile Charm, we actually did some improv, which was kind of a great exercise, which was very cool.
So we talked about Agile Charm multiple times. So I would like to say, which I think I told you, the feedback I gave, it was it was a one-track conference just for people who are listening, like, what is Agile Charm? It was an experiment that you did, one-track conference, but it only happened once because pandemic happened shortly after that. I think
3 weeks. It was
Yeah.
but it was awesome. We had some great speakers. I knew a couple there,
Yes. We have, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But tell them that the inspiration and like why it developed and how you did it. Maybe, it's I
Yeah.
thought it was something great for the community there.
It was a gift to all of us.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think so that it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, ever since I attended a conference in Toronto. I think it was by organized by Jason Little and the community there, called the Spark of the Change.
Yeah.
And I really like that format, the one track, people sitting in the same room, speakers are rotating. And so this idea has been just, on my mind for years. And then, some of my colleagues that I was talking to, we were discussing if we want to, start something in Baltimore. We don't have any Agile conferences. I mean, besides DevOps Baltimore, that happened a few times in Baltimore, and actually the same venue. So I had some, it was something that I wouldn't have been able to do by myself. So I had the rest of the team, the organizing team, a lot of the volunteers, and we started to just plan, what would it be like if we have just, one day, one track, with just a small group of people. I mean, initially we were thinking, should we make it open space? Should we get a smaller venue? And I really wanted to start with, I was more, drawn to do more of an open space format or some sort of a world cafe. But I think we decided that, okay, it's better probably to just do like one track with speakers, because it's going to be, people are familiar with this structure a lot more, and that's where we're going to want to start with that. And then if we want to continue or do it another, for future years, we can change the format a bit. But yeah, it was mainly what made the event what it is. It was a combination of like the organizing team, the volunteers, the speakers, and then the participants. We had a lot of support from sponsors as well. The company that organized DevOps Baltimore. It's called Fearless. It's actually based in Baltimore, and as well as a license at the time. How these pieces fell in place, and eventually we had an event.
I really enjoyed the one track because it was in a big area, and the tracks that were done, even though we had speakers, it was very interactive. Because if I recall, there was like someone who would do a presentation, and then the next one was kind of like an interactive workshop. style presentation, and then it went back and forth, and it was really great because we got to connect with everybody in the same. And sometimes with open space, you go off and you end up only hanging out with the people that have your same interests, and you don't necessarily hang out with a lot of other people. But this was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the balance was definitely, I would say, great, is because the talks were short and the interactivity were the longer segments, and it was a lot of fun. People got to play and have conversations about that play. It was all applied learning.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
I have to say, I also, like, I talked to many people who've done this before, put on conference, like the Agile DC team as well. I've reached out to a couple of the organizers, George Dinwiddie in particular, and Paul, Paul Booz, and they both give me some great insights. But yeah, I think by design, we wanted to have a space for people to connect, because that was one of the biggest values of the conference, is like, connection, community, conversations, and giving that space, because if it's back to back speakers, then people tend to burn out very quickly, and they don't have an opportunity to just talk to each other and form this sort of connections, which is what I mean. That was the whole purpose of the conference, is to build a community, an Agile community in Baltimore, which we don't have, because, as you know, there's islands of meetups everywhere, but we don't have like a place where people can.
I would definitely say a lot of people there became a part of my community, even though I'm not from Baltimore, and they've been part of me as a serial organizer and contributors in that, and volunteering to help support those nonprofits.
Well, that's where you and I connected for the first time. We had seen each other and talked a little bit, but that was the first time I felt truly connected with you.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. So there you go. And I remember she was just standing there, and I'm like, oh, I got to go hang out with her. And her energy was just radiating. It's like, I need to spend a little more time with her.
And I remember just Steve here. Steve has has been very gracious to come from Virginia to to help with documenting the event. So we have a lot of good pictures that I need to go back and look at, to just get that sort of the essence of how this came about. Maybe it'll give us or give me some motivation to start thinking about the next event.
Well, let me know how I can help, because I thought it was an awesome event, and it was really great. And look, the three of us all became much closer because of it, right?
But we go way back through open space, because that's what I geek more than anything.
I think I met April. Maybe, I don't know if the first time I met you was
Coach Camp.
Coach Camp. It was like the 10-year anniversary of Coach Camp or something, or maybe before, even before then. But
I think it was before Michigan, but it was at a Coach Camp. I'm trying to think which Coach Camp.
Yeah, the first one I went to was in Coach Camp in Atlanta. I think it was maybe 2014 or something. It seems like a long time ago.
That is a long time. So in the Agile universe, that's a long time.
Yeah, in the Agile world, right?
Very, very, very cool. When you what I was thinking about, like, coaching there's different ways to go about coaching, right? And meeting to people's need. Could you share a little bit about your style of coaching and how you approach people, and what do you pull from?
So there's I usually say that there's the ICF definition, the International Coach Federation definition of coaching, and then there's what I came to know or came to define in my own experience as coaching, which I usually define it as a conversation that that leaves someone with, insights or more clarity and action. And that's how I define coaching is really the idea of, getting clarity and taking action. It's different than a conversation where we just talk and have a good time, versus you're trying to ask pointed questions and explore or build some sort of a higher level of awareness with the person that you're talking with or coaching. And as they become more aware, then they can decide. They have more clarity now. They can decide whether they want to take action, or they want to just do some more inquiry around like things that they've learned from the coaching sessions that they weren't exactly aware of before the coaching session. And a lot of time also, another thing that coaching happens that in the it happens between the sessions. A lot of time this conversation will spark something, and then the person would go back and maybe do something or take a step forward, and then come back with more learning, more insights, so we can dig a little bit more. But it really, the whole idea is to be able to just using the listening or the space that the coach provides, and design with the the coachee as part of this relationship, and also the questions, the questions. People think like you just fire up like a lot of powerful questions, but it's really it's important to have like some sort of an arc and just how when to ask for more expansion of to uncover some more deeper insights or awareness, and when to ask for like landing and accountability and moving forward. So but yeah, coaching to me in a nutshell is just helping people get clarity and take action. That's
So
my philosophy.
big question, then I'll pass off to Steve, see what other questions he had. Is that, how do you coach yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do I coach myself?
Because coaches need to be coached too.
Yeah,
I always say
yeah,
that.
no, that's
right?
that's a great question. I actually, that's one of the very first things I learned in on my coaching journey, when it is part like I'll tell the short story, and then I'll answer the question. So what the first coactive fundamentals class, which is the very first coaching class in the coactive series, after the class, the co-leaders and they put this flip chart and say, who wants to coach, and then another flip chart say, who wants to be coached. And then everyone, or almost everyone, just you probably guessed where they want to put their names. They all went and put their names on who wants to coach. Everyone wants to coach, right? And she was like, if you want to be a good coach, you need to receive coaching, right? So that's really and so coaching can come in different formats. Like, obviously when we have this conversation, I learned something, and that's part of coaching. And or I can just reflection is part of that too. I ask myself questions and reflect on them. But yeah, how I do coaching, how I coach myself, I have like a set of questions that I usually ask myself. One of the biggest ones is like, what do I value most? Like, and is this thing that I'm trying to do align with my values? And then the other big question that I usually ask myself is like, what's, if I'm about to do something and I'm reluctant, I ask myself, what is stopping you? Like, what's stopping me from moving forward?
That's saboteur.
Yeah, exactly. And then that saboteur will pop up if I'm not, paying attention, or I'm not aware of the dialogue, the inner dialogue that's happening in my head. That becomes very clear. And then now, what's the next step? So it's kind of like a simple, maybe 3 questions, 4 questions to just raise the level of awareness, because sometimes I'm sure we have all experienced this. You're about to do something, or you don't want to do something, and you don't know why. You just have this reaction that that you don't want to move forward, or you want to move forward but something is holding you back. So these questions can cover. The other thing, I reach out to people, people like you. I talk, kind of have a dialogue, have a conversation, and get some more insights, and that also helped me decide or to do something or not to do something. So yeah, you never go wrong with using the wisdom of the crowd, just leveraging people's feedback and perspectives.
Right, but not groupthink. So that's a little different.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in the
that's
crowd is
different.
one thing, but groupthink is another. So the questions that you ask yourself are: does it meet my values? Why am I hesitating? April, what's one of your questions?
Well, one of my questions I always ask is, how do I want to add value next? I ask that of other people too.
That's very agile. That's a very agile mind. Adding value, right?
Yes.
Love that. Love that. One of the things I tend to ask myself is this the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And for whatever the situation is, and that can be a very big answer, because sometimes it depends on what angle I'm looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another great question. Like sometimes it is these closed-ended questions give us some sort of a different path. Which path do we take? It's like building a decision tree. Yes, we're gonna do this. No, we're gonna do this. Or if no, then we're gonna explore a little bit more. Why not? And if yes, what's driving the yes?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, when I ask myself, is this the right thing to do? It's never a yes or no.
It depends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, I eventually get to the yes or no, but it takes a little time. It's not just like yes it is or no it's not. It's like, oh, if I'm asking this question, then there's some uncertainty in my brain.
Yeah.
So
it took a lot for me to not say, oh, what question you asked? I didn't want to say it depends, because it does depend on and what I'm trying to coach myself around. But yeah.
Yeah, it becomes like my flip chart here with a lot of post-it notes that waiting for decisions, which is could be potentially a work in progress or a whip that just sitting there and nothing is getting done and adding value, like April was saying. It's just sitting in progress or to do, and I know I'm never gonna do it, but I'm just afraid that I might want to do it someday, so I'm gonna keep it there.
Yeah. Now, one of my word for 2022 is flow. I need to get back, because I kind of got out of whack. Out of whack, and then when I get out of whack, I don't really accomplish anything. So I want to get back to. I find myself busy, but I don't finish anything. Right. So I've been trying to get back to flow. And one of the things I've been looking at is my backlog, and it's like, all right, so this is up here in front of me. No. I'm not going to throw you away yet, but I'm going to put you way down over here. You're going way down to the left lower corner of my mind and my board. And then, so eventually that left corner gets pretty full. And when it gets full, that's when it's time to all right, now just throw all that stuff out.
Right.
Well, some of the things is that bias towards actions helps support flow. So I was like, how do I add value next?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's I'm with you there. Like flow is probably one of the flow is underrated. Not just flow in terms of how we look at it as agilists or coaches with teams trying to improve flow to get things moving to done or add value, but also flow in terms of like the psychological aspect of it, like getting in the zone and doing some deep work uninterrupted, right? Because and I think they are related, because if you're constantly having this, things in the left corner, bottom left corner on your on your board, and you're still taking mental space, and that's that's preventing focus, or at least at some point I know I do this, like I'm just starting a task, and I'm like sometimes 10 minutes into it, I'm like, oh, I remember I need to do something, and I just shift my focus to that, and then come back and then shift focus, and then at the end of the day, like April was saying, I haven't taken any action, there's no progress. So the way that I deal with that is to just, I will time box it, just block some time, and won't, think about or try to just focus or practice that sort of focus, get into the zone, and then for a specific period of time, and then after that I can check, like something like a Pomodoro technique, or finding the right time of the day that might help. But everyone has different approaches to handle that.
It's interesting that I remember at one conference, it was about prioritization, and almost everyone in the room were coaches, and that many of them struggle with it. Right, and learning how to, even for the things that is your life, getting flow and taking them into smaller bits, and figuring out those big things don't seem so big anymore when you take them into smaller bits, and have, and move on it, and move things to like, oh, that's done. It takes a weight off of you to be able to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. My friends at the yoga studio I go to, Authentic Yoga here in Gaithersburg, there's flow yoga. I was talking to one of the hypno breathing experts, and she went into it. She was talking about a state of flow one time, and so flow can mean so many different things. And one of the things, Salah, to your point, when you're digging into something, you're focusing on 10 minutes, and then you get distracted, is one of the things I've learned to do is think about my monkey mind, and what are all these things that are in my monkey mind that keep coming up. If something distracts me more than 2 or 3 times, it's like I just need to make a decision. So just get done with it. And sometimes it's because I will overthink things, especially if I'm researching. And for example, my wife and I, we just got new phones yesterday. So now I got to buy cases. I got to buy a screen protector. I got to get a new watch band, and all of that. I know I could spend the next 30 hours researching that. So I just got to get that done and be done with it. Because otherwise it'll just kill me. I'll just continue to research. So I'm going to get rid of that. That's what I was doing right before I got on here, by the way.
I can definitely relate to that. It's just like, how much time you want to invest on these things, because they're holding you back from the things that matter, and things that are more important. So I'm
debating. Should I get the $20 case or the $22 case? And it comes out, it's $2, and it's like, it's a case. How much? And I'll spend 80 hours researching that. So get it done. Get it over with. So that's definitely one of the things.
That could be a good topic for another podcast. Is like, like decision making, like why we delay decisions for, even with the little things, like,
and the cost of that decision. Because I was thinking that, oh my, all those hours, that costs you a lot of money.
Right.
It takes more than 2 hours.
2 hours in my
How much is your case? It better be a gold case by the time you end up with it. Keep spending that many hours.
Diamonds and platinum and just all kinds of pretty stuff going on there.
That's an expensive decision, Steve. The $2 is just like what you see, but there's a hidden cost.
It is. And that monkey mind will keep us from hitting that state of flow. Right. So it may just seem like a small little thing, but if it keeps cropping up, you just got to make that decision and be done with it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can move on. So
Yeah.
anyway, so we've been chatting for a little over 30 minutes. And Salah, as you know, April and I, we could chat with you all day long.
Because you're awesome.
Same here.
You
I
are.
can spend my weekend chatting with you.
And the best thing is that I think we've smiled most of the way through the conversation and laughed. So.
I think so, because you're both so wonderful. So Salah, what is it you'd like to leave everybody with? Now we are definitely going to have links in the show notes. So everybody, please subscribe if you enjoyed this conversation. You want to hear more. We're going to have links to the Coaching Conversation, your podcast. And I'm also going to put up links if the website's still up for Agile Charm, because that was just so wonderful. There are a bunch of pictures there. I did take way too many.
Yeah. I want to find the link to the pictures, and then take a look at it again.
All right, and we'll have links to you. So where can people find you, and what would you like to say for final words, Salah?
Sure. Yeah. I'm they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with everyone. And then also I do, I'm on Twitter, and just every once in a while I'll post something there. But yeah, I'm just having a conversation like this, you can reach out to me and we can connect and have a conversation. I also have, some of the things I shared today, I have written about it on my blog and on Medium. So that's another way to look at the things that I share. But yeah, the thing that I want to leave with is basically just the idea of like saboteurs. This was one of the things that have gave me a lot more awareness. So I highly recommend looking up that TED Talk by Sherzad and watching it. It's 20 minutes. And then the other thing is, there's always going to be things that need to fall in place before you take action on something. And if you waited for everything to fall in place, nothing will happen. So just like I started the podcast, I was waiting, and then I just decided to go for it. So I would say, find that thing that you're trying to go for and run with it. Don't just wait until something happens, because you'll be waiting for a long time.
Just get it done, just because it's not going to be perfect.
Well,
right?
yeah.
I mean, April might be perfect, but you and I we're just not there.
I'm definitely imperfect.
But you
forgot a couple letters in the beginning.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on this, in this podcast or show, and I am happy to be part of the Agile World.
Thank you, and I'm really grateful for that too, Salah. So I'm definitely going to reach out, and I did not know you had a Medium blog, so we're definitely going to post that. How can people find your Medium blog, Salah?
It's just if you go to I think it's SELLEITHY.medium.com, that will take you there. But
okay, cool.
Yeah, I
So
need
we'll
to come
make
up
sure
with a better name, better, easier link to point people to. But
well, that's okay. Agile World is agile-world.news, so it is also not that easy to find. But anyway, April, any final words before we close out? Subscribe.
Yeah, well, besides subscribing, and we encourage you to listen to more from awesome people like Salah and Steve, is that I encourage everyone to stay curious about others and about yourself, and because it's a journey, and you can move forward. You have the capability to positively move toward action. coaching yourself and helping coach others.
There you go. So we keep hearing, stay curious, squelch those saboteurs, and get in that state of flow. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. This has been great, Sal. It was great hanging out with you again. April, always a pleasure. See you guys.
Yeah, same here. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, April. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.